Buddy, it is August 1st. It is deadline day. We are recording right now at 5 p.m. Eastern. Welcome to the live version of the Just Baseball Show brought to you by BetMGM. I got Arm Layton, I got Jack McMullen, and I'm Peter Apple. And we are going to live react to some of the moves that are going to come across the ticker in the next hour and then go over all the moves that have just happened today on deadline day. But first, we are brought to you by the king of sportsbooks, and that is BetMGM. Sign up and deposit into your newly created account using promo code JustBaseball. Download the BetMGM Sports app on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Place your first bet offer and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if it loses. If the bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once the wager is settled. Remember, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER and must be 21 or older. Guys, we're doing this a little bit differently, right? Normally, we record on Zoom. It's posted the next day. This is a live show. So if you're listening on audio the next day, we might have little breaks answering questions. This is going to be a blast. Aram, you don't have the normal smile on your face. We'll talk about the Marlins deal first. Jake Eater for Jake Burger. How you feeling?
It's a trade. It is a swap of players. I knew that it was going to be one of those where the Marlins would probably have to give up a little bit more to get a bat that could potentially help them. But I thought that Jake Eater, who looked really good over the last couple of starts as he comes back from Tommy John and punched out 10 in his last Double-A outing. Slider looked unbelievably good. The fastball is back up to the mid-90s. Like, lots of scouts are in on this guy. He looks really good overall. I thought that would get you something better than, a guy that's, a low 200s hitter, a lot of power, doesn't walk at all, and doesn't give you much defense. I love Jake Burger's story. He had an awesome interview on Behind the Scenes with us as well, as a guy that, has overcome 2 Achilles tears, which is really impressive. And it's amazing what he's been able to do for his career here. But again, that's also an important note here. This is a guy that's already defensively limited off of 2 Achilles tears, that, yes, he comes with control, but this is kind of this magical year for him where it's come together and he's hitting home runs. What happens when the home runs aren't there? Where are you getting production from Jake Burger if he's not hitting a ridiculous pace of home runs? He doesn't walk, he doesn't give you defense, and he doesn't do much else. I thought this was a really steep price to pay for Jake Eater, but in a vacuum, the Marlins did get a little bit better offensively, and I guess that helps.
And they got a marketing ploy. Potential burger, maybe in Lone Depot Park. Jack, you were smiling way too hard when Arm was talking. Way too hard.
It's awesome. I love it. I think it's a great deal. Borderline for both sides. No, I mean, Burger's got 25 pumps. Like, this Marlins offense needed another guy that can hit homers that isn't named Jorge Soler. And obviously Soler, it's a loaded conversation around Soler with the Marlins in the present and the future. And they got a guy that, has ample control and can hit homers. But there are a lot of flaws in that approach, which is why he had a combined 66 games in 2021 and 2022. Again, this guy tore his Achilles, re-ruptured his Achilles as he was working his way back in a freak accident. I mean, as Aram said, it's a great story, but I mean, Rick Hahn I don't want to. He's cooking. I don't want to applaud a team that got itself in this position in the first place. You know what I mean? I can't sit here and say good job, Rick Hahn, good job, Billy Epler, but with the hand they dealt themselves, I mean, they're kind of making the most of being sellers when they shouldn't have been sellers.
Arm, there's a good question in the chat. Is Aram Jake Burger jersey incoming?
Look, I like Jake Burger, the person. Again, that interview on Behind the Scenes was awesome. So, Marlins fans that are listening, go check that out. He's an awesome dude, easy to root for. So that's what makes it shitty. Not liking the trade doesn't mean I don't like Jake Burger. So if Burger is fun and he hit some big homers, sure, I'll get a Jake Burger jersey. I am rooting for Jake Burger, the player and the person. But just from a pure business standpoint, Jake Eder's going to be a big league starter. He's going to be in our top 100 update. And this isn't like me being biased towards Marlins prospects. He wasn't on our top 100 before the year because I wanted to see how he'd look physically when he came back. And now every start that I've watched, he's looked better and better and better. And I think the way you look at it transactionally, White Sox are buying a guy that's going like this in Jake Eder, who's already proven that he can shove at the AA level. And I'm not going to say that Jake Burger's going like this, but the Marlins are buying a guy that is he going to get much higher than this? Is Jake Burger magically going to learn how to walk? Is he magically going to, improve his whiff numbers? Like, I don't think so. You're hoping he's going to run into baseballs consistently. Maybe he does. Maybe he will always be that low 200s, high power guy. But that's more tolerable when you can play good defense like a Joey Gallo and you can walk like a Joey Gallo. If you don't walk and you don't play good defense, you really got to run into baseballs. And I just don't like the idea of betting on that always being there.
Hey, Cohen, 503, DJ Local said $1 burger night. I mean, you got to understand price points, man. Like, you can't do a burger for $1. You can do $5 burger night. Nobody, especially at Lone Depot Park, you cannot afford $1 burger night. So $5 burger night, I'm here for it.
Let's move to the biggest trade that was made today. Justin Verlander is making a reunion with the Houston Astros in exchange for two pretty damn good prospects. And Jack, you and I talked about it on the latest episode, and I'm sure that you and Arm have said the same thing, that the Mets are repurposing, or at least that's the word that Billy Epler liked to call it, instead of a rebuild, which is just a fancy way to say rebuild and not get Mets fans, out and about burning down Citi Field. But it is sort of smart if you have the wallet that Steve Cohen does. So basically, Justin Verlander was sent to Houston, and all Houston is going to have to do for the rest of his contract is pay about $29 million.
If it vests.
If it vests.
He throws 140 innings next year, he gets that, 35 mil or 30 mil, something like that.
Aram, thoughts on the prospect haul? Because Mets fans, why would they care about the money? All they're going to get now is two really, really good prospects in exchange for a 40-year-old starting pitcher when it's clear that they're not going to compete this year.
To get Drew Gilbert and Ryan Clifford is crazy. Because I know we were talking about how Verlander's been throwing really well lately, and there's no doubt about that. Like, he has been throwing much better over his last 6 starts, and I think he's definitely a much better option than Max Scherzer, which is why you get this return. But it's amazing how the Mets, they're using money, leveraging their financial, advantage to be able to get prospects. Gilbert is a guy that was going to be right around the 50, 60 range in our top 100 update. Everyday center fielder, very high probability, above average tools across the board. I loved what I saw from him on the backfields before the season. And then Clifford's one of the biggest risers in that Astros system. Crazy power, exit velocities over 111, 112 miles an hour. You see 11th round pick, but he got late second round money in the 2022 draft as a high schooler. This is a dude that they may have picked up right on the brink of I would say kind of exploding. He's got some things to figure out. He's a little bit limited defensively. Ironically, reminds me of like a lefty Mark Vientos in this Mets system. So there's a lot of similarities there. You add that as a supplemental piece to a guy that is a very high probability big league center fielder who should climb quickly in Drew Gilbert. You got to feel really good if you're the Mets. I know this isn't what Mets fans wanted, but this isn't Steve Cohen saying, oh, this stinks, we're going to dump everything for nothing. Instead, leveraging the money, saying, hey, we messed up here, let's try to retool. All of a sudden, this Mets system is looking a lot better, and now they've got some more money to work with this offseason. They're gonna go make some things happen.
So this question is for the both of you, and I got this during my TikTok live, and we'll just start with Jack first. Did the Mets win this deal? And I was like, that's such a complicated question because first, we don't know how good these prospects will end up being. Right now, we think very highly of them, but we know what happens with prospects. Some work, some don't. Some are superstars. Some never even make it to the big leagues. So, but just looking at it at face value, looking at what the prospects they got back, I think a better question instead of did they win the deal, do you like this direction that the Mets are going? Yeah. Do you like the fact that Steve Cohen decided, and which is a tough decision, You spend so much money in the offseason. You come into Queens and you say, we are going to win a World Series and it's going to take 5 years. Now he's on year 3 or 4 and he's selling, which takes a lot of cojones. Do you like that Steve Cohen put aside his ego and said, this is now the new direction? Because I think he wants to become the Dodgers. He wants to become the Astros, where they have this bevy of prospect talent. And let's say they want to go buy later. Now they have pieces to go make trades in the future. So do you think the Mets are making the right decision by making these moves?
Well, so Steve Cohen is the only guy in baseball that has the net worth to play MLB The Show in real life. Like, let's acknowledge that. Nobody can blow it up this quickly. AJ Preller did like probably the best example of it when he first took over in San Diego. He made all those moves. Let's say it was what? It was Justin Upton, it was Matt Kemp, it was Craig Kimbrell, and they were all gone within a year because it was like, oh, shit, all right, it didn't work, whatever. So I think Steve Cohen has the financial flexibility to do that. Do I appreciate the gut check that the Mets have made? Absolutely, I do. I'm glad you pivoted from that original question because, like, and no offense to the question, but it's like the hardest question and my least favorite question to answer because we have no idea what Clifford's going to be. I thought Daz Cameron was going to be awesome when Verlander was traded from Detroit to Houston. So I think that the Astros got exactly what they needed. And in a year where Luis Garcia was TJ'd up and Jose Urquidy was dealing with something until like literally right now, and Christian Javier is a very subdued version of what he has looked like the last 2 years, they got the reigning Cy Young Award winner and they got him back. I hope he didn't, give up his lease in Houston. But man, I like what the Astros did in terms of win now, win next year as well, capitalize on this window. And frankly, they don't need Drew Gilbert or Ryan Clifford. The Mets can use them down the road. So I would say they both got exactly what they needed to do done. And I think that is the best thing that you can say about a trade like this.
So Arm, you're in charge of our website, right? And we're going to need, because ESPN is going to come out with trade grades and give somebody a B+. Mm-hmm. So we probably have to do that.
Yeah.
So the right answer is what Jack said, but should we just give somebody a C in this?
Honestly, like I love it for both sides. I really do. I was surprised. I didn't think that Drew Gilbert would be available in a deal like this because I know it's Justin Verlander, but it's not Justin Verlander totally anymore. So even though he's good, I was surprised lately.
He has been.
Yeah, he has been. He has been.
Too. Yeah.
No, that is the good news, and I think that helped a lot, and I think that made it more palatable, and they're familiar with him, and it's a place where he was throwing better. So I think all of those reasons made them a little bit more aggressive. I think both teams made out really well. I would love to give the Mets a C whenever I get a chance to, and I would love to give the Astros a C whenever I get the chance to. But both of them I thought did really well, and I feel how much better, Peter? How much better do you feel about the Astros now? Even if Justin Verlander is a low threes guy the rest of the way and through the playoffs, how badly did they need that? Now they have a guy that's capable of doing way more than that, but how much better do you just feel about the Astros now, given all the things that Jack just laid out?
I'm going to put it into a couple of words, and I'm going to use what Jack said. Jack said when we were talking about the Astros rotation, hey, Jose Urquidy is coming back, and then he kind of gave me a shrug. And I'm like, come on. That's the reinforcements here? Are we being serious? Yeah. Because Christian Javier does not look like the same pitcher he was last year. Now, JP France is giving them solid innings, but is he starting game 3 of the ALCS? They have Framber, who is a stud, but Framber can be hit around a little bit.
He's not throwing well right now. He's got, a 7 ERA in his last 5 starts?
Exactly. They had to add a starting pitcher. Yeah. They absolutely had to. This is as dire of a rotation that I think we've seen from Houston since before Verlander even got there. Yeah. So they absolutely needed to make the move. It was potentially for Eduardo Rodriguez, who we're going to talk about in a second. They were floated in the Dylan Cease type conversations. But what's a better move than getting back Justin Verlander, who's already done it with you guys? And he's also pitching really, really well right now. This isn't the Verlander that was dealing with an armpit thing at the beginning of the season. This is Justin Verlander with an ERA below 2 over his last 6 starts. So yes, you had to give up 2 extremely good prospects. But at the same time, who you moving off of in their lineup right now? And the Astros, they're not this super poor team. They can go sign a free agent offensively who's proven already. But at the same time, I love the prospects that the Mets get back. I'm not trying to say that.
No, I mean, the answer there, if you're looking at Gilbert, would have been Chas McCormick. Like, you either move off of Chas and you play Drew Gilbert, or the answer, if you're looking at a Clifford or a Gilbert, is Kyle Tucker. Like, you just don't sign him to a massive deal that he's going to command. So, like, all the guys are on the roster. These guys were not going to help the 2023 Houston Astros. It's just, they're like, hey, we'll figure it out in 2025, which is fine.
So, speaking about the pitcher that was almost traded to the Houston Astros and almost traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers, Eduardo Rodriguez. There was a deal in place for him to be sent to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And he said no. He invoked his 10-team no-trade clause that included the Los Angeles Dodgers and just said, I am not going to Los Angeles. Do you think there's still bad blood there from the Red Sox-Dodgers World Series?
I think he's just weird, bro.
Think about it. Why would you not want to leave Detroit to go play with the Dodgers and try and win a World Series? I mean, Aram, what are we doing here? And I know nobody here has an answer.
No, I've got one.
Speculate for fun.
I've got one. Go to, real quick, Aram, before you talk, go to Baseball Savant. Look at Park Factor by home runs. Dodger Stadium, pretty friendly to hitters in terms of home run park. He wants to stay at Comerica.
He wants to stay at Comerica. He likes the park.
I don't think he cares that much about competing. Maybe not. I mean, if you sign that long-term deal with the Tigers, obviously we know he's definitely a unique guy, given the whole circumstance last year. Maybe he's comfortable in Detroit. It's really funny, though, because it's like, that's a tough situation to be in where he has the opportunity to veto a trade where you could probably have gotten some good assets there. They probably could have got a Michael Busch. I would have loved to know what the package was, but man, that would have helped the Dodgers a lot. And now, does Erod get moved? Period. Is there other teams that he would rather go to? Why do you not want to go to one of the best franchises in Major League Baseball that is obviously going to play for play for a title this year? No way around it. They're going to play for a title this year. I wonder why. I have no idea. Maybe it's the idea of he's going to have to go to another team after free agency, having to go all the way to the West Coast and then opt out and hit free agency. It's a lot for him. I don't know, but definitely weird. I was not expecting this.
You know what this felt like? You're in high school and it's prom season, and the prettiest, most popular girl in school is looking for a prom date and goes up to just like pretty decent looking guy and says, would you like to go to prom with me? And he just says, no, I'm just going to stay home and play video games. I'm good. That's what it felt like to me. The most pretty, popular girl in school asks a 7 out of 10 dude, do you want to go to prom with me?
Is Erod a 7 out of 10? Like 6.5?
I would say he's a 7 out of 10 pitcher.
Yeah,
he's pretty damn good this year.
10. Yeah.
Right? He's not the guy, he's not the star of the basketball team with the Letterman jacket on. He's probably like the best trumpet player in the band. Not like one of the trumpet players, but like he rips a trumpet.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like tall. He's like 6 foot. He's a little bit taller for his age. Like could be cute to some girls.
Okay, but like how much attractiveness comes with being a trumpet player?
No, I don't have the answer to that question.
Yeah, but there's some cool guys that play the trumpet.
But this is also a complete hypothetical. And I'm envisioning like a little bit taller for his age, but like kind of scrawny, still growing into his body.
It is wild. And here's the thing, too. He's going to get a lot of money in free agency, but I guess he's going to narrow his search. The Dodgers ain't in on him, or the Mets going to be in on him. Like, how many teams are – what if he opts in? What if he just takes less and opts in with Detroit? Now I'm like thinking there might be a chance this dude opts in. Wild. I hope that they release the details of what the package would have been, just because like I do feel for Detroit fans, but it would be kind of funny to just see what they could have had, and instead they're just have Erod, who is not going to help them do anything this year because they're out of contention. But yeah, this was definitely one of the more unique curveballs I think that we got so far today.
I got to say this though, Jack. My thinking is the Dodgers just lost out on Eduardo Rodriguez, and Eduardo Rodriguez was going to cost a pretty penny, right? He can rip a trumpet.
Yeah.
Do they pivot to Dylan Cease now? They have all the prospects to be able to do it. They're in the big-time starting pitchers market. Verlander's gone. Scherzer's gone. I assume they are now on the phone with Rick Hahn saying, all right, Erod said no for some reason. What if Cease also says no? He's like, nobody wants to go there.
Well, he has no right to say no. He's still fully ARB eligible. Sorry, I got totally sidetracked because the White Sox found the replacement to Dylan Cease. They just traded for Luis Patino for cash considerations. That's really exciting. El Electrico is coming to the south side of Chicago. His nickname is literally El Electrico. Patino has some talent. That's kind of fun.
But doesn't he have like a 7 ERA in the minors right now?
Yeah, for sure. But arm talent. No, they can pivot to Cease. I think we're going to hear whether it's like before the deadline and the White Sox say yes, or the White Sox say no, and it comes out in the next 24 hours. We're going to hear some sort of ludicrous package that was presented for Dylan Cease. And I have a feeling it's either Baltimore or the Dodgers. And I don't know, man. Like, the Dodgers could be fun. I don't think they do that because they have enough coming off the IL. But again, they have enough like not coming off the IL. They have some guys that are, seriously like in the shit injury wise. So it's such a weird situation. I think I would feel a lot better about the Dodgers situation if Gavin Stone looked the part, but unfortunately he doesn't look the part right now. And Emmett Sheehan, while we really like the young pitcher Emmett Sheehan, he's not throwing well enough to start a playoff game. Like Bobby Miller starting a playoff game. Who else? We hope a healthy Walker Buehler is back starting a playoff game. We hope a healthy Clayton Kershaw is back starting a playoff game. Julio Urias is a mid-4s, high 4s right now. So I don't know if they want to uproot the farm in a seller's market for Dylan Cease.
It is Dylan Cease, though.
Yeah, it is. I just don't know where they're going, man. Like, the Dodgers right now, Erod made a lot of sense, but now my brain is all sorts of places.
Well, another Tigers player got moved. Michael Lorenzen to the Philadelphia Phillies in exchange for an infield prospect. And Jack's going to correct me here. How you Lee?
I think you got it.
Bang. Infield prospect. I don't know much about him. Arm, I'm just going to throw it over to you. The Phillies get a big-time starter. I could definitely talk on the major league side of it.
Yeah.
I was surprised by this move, right? Phillies have Wheeler. They have Nola. They have Ranger Suarez. They have Christopher Sanchez. Who am I forgetting? And they have Taijuan Walker. But they decided we need to add a starting pitcher. I found this deal very surprising considering all the other contenders who needed starters. And Lorenzen has been very solid. That's why he was an all-star this year. Should he have been an all-star? Whatever. We can argue that all day long. But at the same time, he has been objectively good. Maybe not all-star caliber, but objectively good. Phillies had another starter where I didn't think that's what they needed. What are your thoughts on the trade?
Yeah, Jack, you want to go first or me?
No, you go first.
I like it. I don't think they desperately needed it. I think you're right, Peter. But I think if it's out there and for whatever reason the Tigers really like how you Lee, and you can get him for that's it. I think you go get him, right? I think it was a pretty good deal for them. How you Lee is a good prospect. He's solid. He's definitely one of their better position player prospects in the system, but limited upside, hit over power, good approach, high probability, big leaguer, but kind of utility type. You're probably not losing sleep over, trading a guy like that. And on the flip side, you get somebody that, I know, Peter, you don't love Taijuan Walker, but I don't either. He threw well against the Marlins the other day, but that doesn't really mean much. But this does give you the opportunity to kind of ride the hot hand, because there's been some volatility on the back third of that rotation, or at least the 4-5 slot. It's been a little bit like who's going to step up. And the way that Lorenzen's thrown in spurts, I think he can really help them, one, get to the playoffs, and then two, it just gives you another weapon and the ability to ride the hot hand. And, God forbid somebody gets hurt and then you're looking at it, in September and you're like, man, we can't get a pitcher now. I think it's a good insurance policy too, if it's not expensive. And I didn't think it was expensive. For the Tigers, it's a good get for Lee, but I thought you would have got a little bit more given what we were seeing some of these rentals bring in. I was surprised that this was all that, Lorenzen was able to get them.
I think they know it's probably a finicky mid threes from Michael Lorenzen because we haven't seen it before. And this is, the new cut Lorenzen. How do we know that this is
America?
Yeah, like how do we know that this is going to continue? Same thing with Tyler Wells. And Tyler Wells was throwing like a beast front half of the year. And Tyler Wells had an all-star caliber pre-all-star break season. But after the break, 3 starts, 11 earned. He's in double. He's a Bowie base sock right now for innings management. So, I mean, it's so risky. I like comparing it to the Mitch Trubisky thing. Like he was a 1-year starting quarterback and he went 2nd overall. Like Michael Lorenzen's been playing this game for a long time. And this is the first time we've seen sustainable success from him as a starting pitcher. Before that, it was a lot of hope. And now it's ship has sailed. All of a sudden he recaptures this. So I thought it was the appropriate price, which is weird because I viewed a lot of these deals as overpays. I thought the Seawald deal was the best example of that. That was a crazy overpay, but I thought that this was pretty dead even. And you think about how you leave factors into the Phillies. Trey Turner's the shortstop for a decade. Bryson Stott has 5 more years after this. You can extend Stott, like it's fine. So there was no space for him. That's the thing. When you look at deadline deals like this, I know prospects are prospects and you shouldn't be thinking about, big league availability for these prospects. But I mean, frankly, he was blocked. He was either going to have to learn a new position or an injury or a trade was going to happen to clear space for him. So I thought this was a perfectly fine deal.
Immediate upgrade for the Phillies. I guess my only thing is Christopher Sanchez was pitching really well. He got pulled after throwing 5 no-hit innings, and he's been very good for them. But Ranger Suarez has been very inconsistent over his last 5 starts because an ERA near 7 when he was shoving in June. So maybe they decided, we got to bolster this rotation because you never know with Wheeler and Nola, right? Both have dealt with arm injuries before, and it's not like Nola's been great this season anyway.
Here's a groundbreaking idea for you. How about a 6-man rotation for the next month? Next 4 times through. Why don't you go 6-man?
I think that they might be considering that too because, we kind of saw Wheeler run out of gas a little bit in the postseason at points. And I think it is a little bit about preservation. And this does kind of allow you to preserve those guys without going bullpen game, which helps a ton too. And maybe Lorenzen in a swingman role or out of the pen in the playoffs, could be a decent piece. Again, if they gave up something significant, I'd be scratching my head. But given that they didn't give up much, they probably called and they're like, what do you want? And they said, how you leave? And they said, all right, fine. I guess we got an extra pitcher now. Like,
it's not Painter.
Yeah, it's not Painter, not Abel, like not even Johan Rojas. Like, okay, fine. Sounds good to me. So even Justin Crawford, like this is a guy that's probably the Philly system isn't good. And he's probably 8th in that system, 9th in that system. So again, like we saw the market, this was a low cost addition.
So we got a couple of great comments in YouTube from Behind the Seams, our new podcast on the Just Baseball Network. Marlins fans, go check out the interview with Jake Berger that they did. They've also done interviews with Lorenzo Cain. Great new podcast that we have added to the Just Baseball Network. Colton Wong saying goodbyes in the Mariners clubhouse. And then from Buff Man Bill, Mike Puma said Tommy Pham just left the Mets clubhouse in street clothes.
I love the term street clothes.
Yeah.
It's just like street clothes. It's just normal clothing.
As opposed to beach wear.
Yeah.
As opposed to your full uniform.
I'm waiting for the day where it's like Tommy Pham just left the locker room in black tie attire. It's always street clothes. But no, I mean, Pham had to be moved. It seemed like an inevitability. And with what he does to left-handed pitching, that's a guy that's got to fit into a lot of different spots. I'm interested to see where he goes. Colton Wong, are they trading him to the Mexican League? Like, where's he going? Is he just getting DFA'd? I love Wong's story too, but like, what's the word there? They've got to be just like,
pack your bags, brother. You're going to Tacoma,
as opposed to wearing his baseball uniform. Yeah, I understand that. I always like, as someone commented, supposed to imagine if you get traded, you just leave in your baseball uniform, the full get up.
You can hear Tommy Pham leaving the stadium because his cleats are just clacking.
His cleats are just
outside. All right.
Someone said, sorry, I had to read one more comment.
Did you guys just see the biggest move was just made? The
Yes.
Rangers acquired Austin Hedges.
Yeah.
He's going to stay in baseball for 40 years. I'm telling you, teams love Austin Hedges for his ability to frame the baseball. For him to still have a job while being the league's worst qualified hitter by a sizable margin. Franchise altering from Hayden Harris there in the comments. I couldn't agree more. But Jonah Heim is now out. We don't exactly know his timetable to return. Thoughts?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I mean, he's the new Jeff Mathis.
I saw a tweet. I think it was Austin Hedges could hit 100 consecutive homers, and his career OPS would still be under 800.
He might hit 100 consecutive homers with the Rangers. Have you seen the way that they're able to change offensive guys?
Man, I mean, like, who cares? Respectfully, who cares? He had a 467 OPS, and he was a trade target. What?
I'm telling you, he's going to stay in Major League Baseball forever because he can frame the baseball, and pitchers must love him.
Dude,
he must be like
remember when he was like a power prospect with the Padres? Like, he was like, this guy's got some serious juice. He can be the Padres catcher of the future.
And now he hit some decent ground balls to second. All right, let's talk about the Blue Jays adding some reinforcements. So Bo Bichette goes down. Luckily, I don't think there's any structural damage. I think it was in his knee. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He said X-ray came back, no structural damage, day-to-day with knee inflammation.
Perfect. So he's going to be okay. But the Blue Jays still added Paul DeJong, right, from the St. Louis Cardinals. And the Cardinals haven't been huge sellers so far, but we still have 30 minutes until the end of the trade deadline. But they got back right-handed pitcher Matt Swanson, if I'm saying that correctly.
Sounds like a super Swedish way of saying Swanson.
Yeah, but it's with a V.
Yeah.
And he has no games started, I don't think, in the minors this year, Aram. He looks like a 24-year-old reliever who has been shoving.
I know. I feel like I know a decent amount of guys in the minors. I got nothing on that dude. Nothing.
Maybe he's a reliever.
He could throw.
He could throw.
He's
got like a 1.12 ERA in the minors this year.
I mean, that's pretty nasty. I knew. How old is he? I have no idea.
24.
Okay, yeah, that's a good get. Nice job.
Paul DeJong goes to the Blue Jays. Jack, Galaxy Brain thoughts on that one?
Yeah, no, massive. Like, this is going to alter the wrinkle of baseball history as we know it. Pittsburgh receiving international bonus pool money from the Rangers in exchange for Austin Hedges. So there's the return right there. The fact they got something is borderline unbelievable. Club option at 12.5 next year. That's the easiest decline ever for Toronto. DeJong, again, great guy. I saw he was making food for a local food bank yesterday in St. Louis, in like his last day as a St. Louis Cardinal. Like, that's just good guy move. So Toronto's going to love him. What a dude, man. But yeah, this is depth. This is third middle infielder. They needed it. Biggio's like a 670 OPS. Espinal, who I was so high on coming into the year, Santiago Espinal is a 610 OPS. So you needed some sort of offensive production from the middle infield. And I think you got it in the wings of Bo Bichette and Whit Merrifield.
I'd rather have Paul DeJong right now than Santiago Espinal.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a dude just getting blown
this is
away
an upgrade
by
over
95.
This is an upgrade over Espinal and Kevin Biggio, and I'm not blinking twice.
I wonder what the Blue Jays do with Biggio at this point, because how much run are they going to give him before they say, all right, like, you're not working here in Toronto? And I know there's some Blue Jays fans that are Kevin Biggio truthers, and I honestly respect that. I mean, just to follow that guy around for years, open for something. Respect to you out
there. Excellent.
Yeah, just stick-to-itiveness. I like that. All right. Arm, you have anything left on that mega deal?
No, I'm actually still just trying to figure out what my exact feeling is on this Jake Burger trade, and I need help. What do you guys think? Like, do you guys think that Jake Burger can consistently be a solid big league power bat? So I'll take you through, of course, the injuries. 2021, he played 15 games. He had a 119 WRC plus. Doesn't really matter. 2022, he did play 51 games. He punched out 31% of the time, 113 WRC plus at 8 home runs. Then this year, 88 games, 32% K rate, 115 WRC plus, 25 home runs. Like, I almost feel like he's like, you can kind of count on that, or am I wrong? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to cope. I don't know.
I think what you just did is you got a younger and more available moving forward Garrett Cooper.
Yep.
No, dude, Cooper can't hit. I don't think Cooper's ever hit 25 home runs.
No, his season, I mean, he's never played more than 120 games. He played 119 last year, and that was his high.
I see what Jack's saying, though. Just kind of like a old dude who's just going to roll up to the ballpark and hit a little bit. I know what Jack's saying.
You're cool with him being your 5 hitter. So Cooper, like if you extend Garrett Cooper's career over 162, he's a 780 OPS, hitting 270 with 19 pumps, 75 driven in.
Yeah, pretty good baseball player.
I think that's what you can expect from Jake Burger moving forward.
Except just like take away some contact, up the power. It's still roughly similar OPS and
similar output.
Yeah, that makes sense. And a little, and not saying much, but at least capable somewhere other than first base. Which
Burger, I'm not going to say Burger can pick it at third, but he's not a liability at third base.
If you put Garrett Cooper at third base, you'd have to have an ambulance on standby.
Like, yeah,
it's not like Gene Segura's helping out at third either.
No.
You know what you just got? You got a defensive upgrade. You got a defense.
They were looking at the glove first.
Yeah.
No, look, I wanted to just like summarize one more because I was still processing it. I think it was a steep price to pay. I think they're better this year. They have some much needed power next year. I was also looking at the system. Who the fuck's coming up and helping them anytime soon in the power department?
Griffin Conine.
Yeah, maybe. This is what I hope Griffin turns into, to be honest. So, like, this is one of those where it's just like, you know, I think you have to kind of look at it and say, even if he is not any better than he's been, who's going to come up and give you this? If you're going to make the team better, you have to make some moves in the offseason anyways. I'm cool with it. We have not talked about Rich Hill.
Yeah, before we get to Rich Hill and G-Man Choi, another incredible trade that's going to change the trajectory of the San Diego Padres forever. I want to answer this question because I was on Cardinals radio this morning, and it's about Jack Flaherty. So the question is, Matthew Johnson, do you guys think Jack Flaherty to the Orioles work for Connor Norby? And I think he's saying Drew Romo.
Drew Rom.
Okay.
Romo's a
isn't it funny? One letter can take you from a pitching prospect to a switch hitting catcher.
Well, one first name can take Bob Nightingale from Drew Gilbert to Logan Gilbert.
And a fringe prospect. That was incredible. Yeah. But I really want to answer this because on Cardinals radio, these guys were thinking, Jack Flaherty's going to get moved and what's going to be the prospect haul for it. And I broke it down like this. If I am a team trading for starting pitching right now, why would I give up anything for Jack Flaherty if I'm a contender, right? Because think about it. Cardinals fans, you've been watching Jack Flaherty all season long. If you put him on the Dodgers, if you put him on the Astros, put him on the Rays, put him on whoever you want that wants to win a World Series, they're not even going to start him game 4. So what you'd be acquiring Jack Flaherty for is to fill innings in the regular season to get yourself to the playoffs, just to keep you within games if you have injured arms. I think what John Mozeliak is going to find out, and I think that's why he hasn't been moved yet, of course there's still time, is that Flaherty is not going to get you a package even close to Connor Norby. He might not get you a top 30 prospect in any system. And I think Mozeliak's going to sit there and be like, all right, we're just not going to trade him because like we're not going to get anything. Right, Jack?
Okay, so that's what a rational thinker would think. I think I have changed in the last 36 hours in regards to this market. Every deal that's coming in, I'm like, no way that's the return. That's a lofty return. If
you guys are also prospect huggers.
I know, but if I was proposed, if I'm John Mozeliak and Baltimore said, we'll go 1-for-1 Flaherty for Connor Norby, I'm saying yes, and I'm running out of that room. I'm like, no takebacks.
No way the Orioles would do that. No way.
Okay, but look at the market. Look at what's going on right now. Jake Eater for Jake Burger? Really?
No, I just got a reply that says they can't trust me because I don't like the trade. So, no, I think the Marlins fleeced. I do.
Just
No,
fine. Fuck it.
it is. Now, I will say this. So I don't know if I would. I know that I do like knowing the prospects, being into it, following them. It makes me less likely to want to part with them in certain deals. But there's also been several deals where like no brainer, I'm doing that. Like I said with the Astros, no brainer. I'll trade Drew Gilbert and Ryan Clifford. I didn't think they'd do it, but I would do it for Justin Verlander when I'm the Houston Astros right now. This situation though, when you're getting a Jack Flaherty, there's like a moving scale. If it's not a guy that guaranteed impacts my team, I don't want to part with a Connor Norby type. Maybe that is what, maybe that is the market, in what we're seeing, but I'm not doing Norby for Flaherty, man. I just can't do it. It's a couple months of a guy that might literally not help me at all for a guy that I know will at least be a big leaguer in some capacity with 6+ years of control. Like, that's really tough to palate. And I know the Orioles definitely won't palate that.
No. I think the Orioles would trade a good prospect for Jack Flaherty. They won't even trade a good prospect for Corbin Burns.
For Verlander.
No, they wouldn't. No, absolutely not. They could have done this exact trade for Verlander, maybe even got them to eat even more money and not felt it in their farm system.
At this point with Mike Elias, I'm convinced they wouldn't trade Colton Cowser for Roki Sasaki.
No, I don't think so. I think Mike Elias, genius guy with what they've been able to do with player development, but I'm just going to call it what it is. He's a scaredy cat. Yep. He really is.
He's not said it. I've been saying this about the Orioles. Like, we keep trying to mock trades with them with the big time stars. They're not going to do it.
We got to get Mike Elias
in the American League without it.
Hey, we've got 19 more minutes.
We do have 19 more minutes. I hope they prove me wrong. I really do. I would love to see the Orioles send a big time package for a Dylan Cease or for a huge pitcher. I'm just waiting. And we've been waiting for years.
Aram, you're saying that because that's when bad decisions are made, right?
Yeah, no. Or that, like, if you're nervous, you don't want to talk to, I'll use another like example. You don't want to talk to the girl at the other side of the bar. You're nervous. You take a shot, you get a little liquid courage, and you go. I think Mike Elias needs some liquid courage. He's just very scared.
Yeah, but he needs like a bottle. He needs like a bottle of Buffalo Trace. Yeah. Not just like a couple of shots.
It's divine liquid. I wouldn't blame him.
It is good. I got to relax. I'm not much of a drinker. And now I have all these bottles. And like, it's good.
Did you get your shipment?
No, I haven't gotten my shipment yet. But I still have my other bottles.
I would have been the only one. But yes.
No.
This from Sarah Langs, who is awesome. Just going back to the Hedges thing real quick. Catcher framing runs. This is kind of like an odd assortment here. Austin Hedges leads baseball in catcher framing runs. Pat Bailey is second. Pat Bailey's been a revelation for San Francisco. Jonah Heim is third. Francisco Alvarez, fourth best catcher in baseball by catcher framing runs. And then William Contreras is fifth. So I found that to be a very interesting grouping of five.
I think I'm just doing this podcast by myself because Jack is only concerned about the Austin Hedges. Just keeps going back to it. And Aram, I don't even know if his brain is fully here. I think he's just looking at Jake Eater pitch data right now and trying to figure out why the Marlins would send him for Jake Berger. So I could just do this by myself. Or Aram, you have
I'm here.
Jake Berger.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm trying to get Mike Elias drunk over here. I don't know what you want from me.
That's actually a good point. Talk about a drunk move. G-Man Choi and Rich Hill to the San Diego Padres. I mean, Preller, what are we doing, dude? I mean, are we selling? Are we buying? I don't qualify that trade as buying. That's not buying. It's not buying. It's
a very bad attempt at buying, it feels
like. I had a thought. It was Galaxy Brain that they were going to trade Blake Snell and be like, well, we still have Rich Hill.
Yeah, we added a lefty so we can subtract a lefty.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I also didn't love like trading Jackson Wolf. A lefty who like has been really good this year. Like the velocity is a little bit subdued, but like he's building and looking better and better. They even call him up to the big leagues. He was able to churn out a decent start for his debut, and then you're moving that guy for a 48-year-old Rich Hill. But I do think like Rich Hill gives them some depth, and I think if they didn't want to give up quality prospects, but wanted to try to just fortify the team a little bit, this does that. To me, it's not like a buy. It's more just like I don't know, like it's almost like standing pat. It's a little bit better than standing pat. It's better than buying. Like if they bought, that'd be ridiculous. They just kind of stood pat and just reinforced the team a little bit and said, let's give it a shot. Like I'm fine with that. It's just weird.
I don't think it's ridiculous. I know what you're saying about if the San Diego Padres decided to buy. I look at the National League wildcard race and they're 4.5 games out. I'm like, if they start clicking and they add a big time piece, like they were in on Justin Verlander, I would say, all right, like I'm not counting the Padres out yet. So should they buy? Looking at their team right now, you've had a lot of months to show us that you're a competitive ball club, and they won 3 straight against the Rangers. They were going for their first 4-game win streak of the season. And what do? They lose to the Austin Gomber-led Rockies. That should be the nail in the coffin that you're not buying.
Yeah.
But at the same time, AJ Preller and the San Diego Padres, they've changed San Diego sports, right? There's no San Diego Chargers anymore. They're still selling out Petco Park every day. So we're getting, we're getting comments on YouTube saying Flaherty to the Dodgers. That's what Twitter is saying. Sorry, X. All right, so he's not going to the Dodgers. And I also think there's a funny comment here by Wags the Wagon that's going to the flea market, not the trade market. That's kind of funny. So right now, did you guys talk about Jeimer Candelario to the Cubs yet on yesterday's show?
No, I don't think we did.
Let's talk about Jeimer Candelario to the Cubs, because I put out on Twitter, I am not the prospect guy, and I never heard of these prospects before. So I basically said, well, the Cubs won because I haven't heard of them before. But that's not true.
There were 3 deals that we didn't talk about. Savali for Manzardo.
Okay.
Seawald to Arizona, and that Jeimer Candelario trade.
Let's go in order then. Let's talk about Jeimer Candelario to the Cubs. Aram, both of you guys put out tweets about the prospects themselves. What should Nationals fans expect from that package? And then we'll talk about the impact of Candelario on the Cubs.
Apparently Naylor just got scratched too, and people are like wondering what's up, but they said right side tightness. So we'll see. We'll see if anything comes of that in the next.
No shot Naylor's traded. I would be shocked.
I mean, because they got Manzardo, and I doubt it. So I thought the trade was fun. Look, is it interesting to go from perceived sellers to buyers that quickly? Like, yes, but like DJ Hurst is a fun arm. He has some potential, but like you see these videos, like Candelario rakes, and he's been awesome this year, and he's arguably one of the best bats on the market. Kevin Made, the other piece they gave up, I always thought he was a little too hyped up by Cubs fans and Cubs prospect evaluators. They do a great job, but like that was a guy that I think you endear yourself to because he's close to home. Hurst has a lot of reliever risk. I think it's very unlikely that you look back and say that trade was terrible. And it's very likely that Candelario instantly upgrades their lineup because they've gotten nothing from the corners, really, especially first base. And now they get a lot from first base with Candelario. I think this really makes the Cubs a little bit scarier. And that offense is a little bit more balanced now. I think this was a fun move for them that didn't cost that much.
So before we get to Jack's reaction to the trade, Tommy Pham was just traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks. We are still waiting on that return, but a pretty damn good move for Arizona. They could use a bat like that. Tommy Pham, I thought, was one of the more underrated players at this deadline. He's got an OPS over 800, really hits left-handed pitching. You're not getting a ton defensively in the outfield, but you're getting a good veteran bat who's been around the league. And especially after, like we're going to talk about the Paul Seawald trade, after trading Canzone, they could use a guy like Tommy Pham. But before we get to that, because we still don't have the return yet, we'll go over that trade once we have all the details. Jack, what was your reaction to your Cubs getting Candelario?
My Cubs? That's exciting. I get ownership.
They're kind of your Cubs. They're kind of your Cubs. You like the Cubs.
You own Chicago.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I actively, I will own Chicago on this podcast. That's fine. I liked it. And I think Aram hit the nail on the head. In a market full of overpays, this was not an overpay. They were 2 flawed prospects that were moved by Chicago. So I thought that it wasn't a heist by any stretch because Candelario is a rental, and Candelario, while he does rake, is not like He's not the put the team on your back for a week guy. He just happened to be the best hitter along with Meneses and I guess Lane Thomas on a bad Nationals offense. So I liked it for the Cubs. I thought it was simple. I thought it was one of those that didn't make me think any more than I needed to. It was, okay, Herr's very talented guy. There are weeks that go by where he can't throw strikes. Mate had a lot of prospect intrigue, and as he climbed levels, or maybe not climbed levels, it was, starting to wear there. So no, I thought the Cubs did a great job with that one.
Another move, big one. Aaron Savali is going to the Tampa Bay Rays in exchange for first base prospect Kyle Manzardo. Arm and Jack, I liked Aaron Savali. I thought he was kind of maybe the most underrated starting pitcher that was going to be dealt at the deadline, rocking a 2.34 ERA, right? But peripherals are a little bit scary. We're looking at an xERA near 4. The Rays obviously see something, right? They turned Robert Stevenson from the Reds, who was a 6 ERA guy, down to a 3 ERA guy because they said, hey, throw your splitter more. And now he's a good reliever for it looks like Dylan Cease will be on the move.
Yeah, Peter, can I hop in real quick? Two tweets that I've seen in the last 60 seconds.
Yeah, hop in.
Orioles close to acquiring Jack Flaherty from the Cardinals. So Orioles get Flaherty. There is growing buzz. This is per Mark Feinsand. There's growing buzz that the White Sox may trade Dylan Cease in the next 10 minutes per sources. Dodgers and Orioles seen as favorites if he's moved.
Okay, Orioles. I mean, Jack Flaherty is not the move that I'm not going to say that the Orioles made a big move by getting Jack Flaherty. Like I said, is he going to be in their postseason rotation? Yeah, it helps. It helps.
He is going to be in their postseason rotation. That's the thing.
Good luck.
Look, it helps. Maybe it changes scenery. Working with better catchers and McCann and Adley will help.
True.
Maybe some more adrenaline will get the stuff going. Pitching in a better ballpark to pitch in. Maybe that all helps. It's just not what I would have expected. I just thought if you're going to make a move, you might as well go all the way. Like a team that's so afraid to make moves, you're going to give up a decent piece for a rental instead of just giving up some good pieces for a really good piece. I'd love to see what they do and who ends up going for Flaherty. But if they end up giving up a pretty good prospect for Flaherty, I'll be mind blown. Like it'll just be one of those where it's just like, what are we doing here? What was the plan?
Like, do you guys think that the Orioles are going to get both Flaherty and Cease? I think now this makes Cease a Dodger.
That would be savage if they do that. Then Mike Elias would be drunk, and I would love it. I'm like waiting to see. Like I'm getting texts of like returns. I don't know if it's a joke. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's not. I'm just like waiting to see what the return is for a Jack Flaherty. I feel like it's gonna be very light.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be very light. I don't think it's going to be much.
Who do we think? I mean, we have to wait till the buzzer here, but who do we think have been like the winners and the losers thus far? I want to start with winners.
Let's talk about the day after. Because we need to kind of settle on all these moves. We'll do like a full episode going over the winners and the losers of the trade deadline instead of kind of off the top. We'll do a bigger episode there.
I feel that.
I'm still waiting. Yeah, we're still waiting. So in the meantime, let's talk about Kyle Manzardo. Who are the Guardians getting back for Aaron Savali? Because I was floored, right?
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I thought this was a fantastic get for the Guardians there. You're getting a guy that can probably plug into your lineup next year. The thing with Manzardo, it's been a slightly disappointing year. I really think he's dealt with a lot of bad batted ball luck because his exit velocities have jumped. He's hitting the ball in the air more. Yet his BABIP is way down, and the numbers have been a little subdued. He was 22 at the start of the year in AAA, has mashed through the lower levels. I think with Manzardo, he was trying to tap into more power this year, and I think in turn, it kind of compromised that plus hit tool that he has because he is a plus hitter at first base. There's above average power there. It's whether he taps into it consistently in games. And that's kind of the determining factor of, whether he's, an average big league first baseman or an above average big league first baseman. But I think with his approach, the feel to hit and at least average power, he's a really good piece. And I think as he, matures and plays in the big leagues, maybe the power comes a little bit later in games, but he's shown the ability to hit the ball hard. A lot of similarities to Naylor. And I think a better approach overall. he's a really good piece for them to get.
Yeah, Jack, I don't know if you agree with this. In a vacuum, like if we don't see what the Guardians have in terms of pitching depth, we don't see what the Rays have in terms of prospect depth and big leaguers on the corners, I would say that the Guardians, quote unquote, won this deal because moving forward, I would rather have Kyle Manzardo than I would Aaron Savali. But if you look at what the Rays could have given up, that's why Aram, I think, floated Kyle Manzardo's name a couple of weeks ago, because you do have Isaac Paredes and you do have Yandy Diaz on the corners, and then you have Curtis Mead. And we saw Junior Caminero at the Futures game. Dude looked like a truck. Like I was like, he gave off Jordan type vibes of just like an enormous human being. Just when he hits the baseball, it sounds like the baseball is like crunching under the pressure of it going off the bat. So they were able to give away a Kyle Manzardo. But at the same time, you gave away Kyle Manzardo for Aaron Savali, Jack.
Yeah, no, I like Aaron Savali. I don't Kyle Manzardo like Aaron Savali. So this was very clear for me, like who I think came out on top. But Tampa needed a gap bridger to get to a healthy Drew Rasmussen and a healthy Shane Baz and a healthy. I'm missing somebody else on the shelf. Who else is on the shelf?
Well, Eflin's been banged up.
Springs. I was forgetting Springs. I mean
Rasmussen. Oh wait,
yeah,
I think
and
you
like
said that.
McClanahan's on an IL stint. Noted durable ace Tyler Glasnow certainly hasn't been noted durable ace Tyler Glasnow. So they needed some security. And Savali, I know that Savali was dealing with an injury for the first couple months of this year, but Savali's just durable, man. You know Savali's going to get the ball for them every fifth day, which is going to be excellent. Return came in. Thank you behind the scenes. Cesar Prieto to St. Louis for Jack Flaherty. It looks like a 1-for-1.
I like that get. Prieto's a good, really good bat to ball guy. I mean, it's hit over everything else, but it's a good little snag for them.
And like we're saying, Orioles aren't feeling that.
No. Not at all.
At all.
He's like a decent prospect, but there's a chance Michael Elias doesn't really know his name.
Yeah.
I mean, he would be one of the better prospects in a lot of different systems with just the numbers he's put up. He doesn't strike out. He puts bat on ball. And literally, he's so far down the pecking order for them. That's fine. I'm glad they made a move like that. Like, who cares?
Yankees are acquiring Keenan Middleton.
Ooh.
I mean, okay.
There you go. Your Yankees made a move.
Brian Cashman's been asleep at the wheel. We got 3 minutes till the deadline. He decided, you know what we need? A bullpen arm. And what's the one Yankee strength?
This will put us over the top.
I mean, just asleep at the wheel. Like, I'll have a rant on them later.
Has anyone been more asleep than Chaim Bloom?
Was Colton Wong DFA'd?
Yeah, he was DFA'd.
Yeah, Colton Wong was just DFA'd.
Okay, that's why he was hugging everybody.
Got you. That's tough.
If we give up like a good prospect for Keenan Middleton, like
I can't wait. I'm gonna hype up whoever it is. By the way,
it's gonna be
whoever
awesome.
it is was my favorite prospect in the Yankee system. Peter,
I can't wait
what if
to
it's
get
like
Pereira.
Jason Diaz has been traded for Keenan Middleton? All right, I guess we'll see what they. Yeah, I'll see what they got in the meantime. So we just talked about Jack Flaherty to Baltimore. We're still waiting on Dylan Cease details. We talked about Kyle Manzardo for Aaron Savali. There was one more trade that Jack mentioned that we still haven't gone over, and that is the Paul Seawald trade.
Oh, yeah.
Jack, you called it an enormous return. Talk us through that.
Enormous. Like I like Paul Seawald. Paul Seawald was the closer for the Mariners, but they had a closer in waiting in Munoz, who I enjoy more than Paul Seawald, and I feel better about moving forward. I thought Arizona was going to be in the Bednar sweepstakes. Looks like Bednar is going nowhere. So for Arizona to get a closer, it was going to cost some capital, and that was some serious capital. Paul Seawald, yes, like he's got that great sweeper. I think Arizona got better in the back of the bullpen, but it was a very steep price, man. It was, I mean, Josh Rojas, who is kind of a tweener, like he's certainly not going to be an everyday guy, but
better than Wong.
A platoon bat.
Better than Wong.
Yes, he is better than Wong. And you get a big league ready bat to ball outfielder in Dominic Canzone, who I think Aram, correct me if I'm wrong, but like hit tool carries him, but he's got enough in the speed department and he can play a decent outfield. And like he may sneak 10 to 15 out. And then Ryan Bliss has had an amazing year in AA for Arizona. He was one of the reps at the Futures game for the Diamondbacks. So I think Pipeline had Canzone at 19 and Bliss at 29. That's just so wrong. Like Canzone was in the 10 range and Bliss was probably in the 10 to 15 range.
100%. I agree with both of those.
They paid big time.
No doubt. I thought they did well. You upgrade at second base, even if it's marginal. You get another outfielder that can help with, given that Kelenick's out and he plays good defense. And, I thought they did. I thought they did well overall. And then Bliss is a solid prospect to add. So it was a creative trade, and I thought they did a good job. And we knew the teams would have to get creative, and I thought they did just that.
New trade across the ticker. Phillies are closing in on a deal with Pittsburgh. The Phillies will be sending Pittsburgh left-handed pitcher Bailey Falter in exchange for Rodolfo Castro.
I'm going to have to cross Castro out of my scorebook. I wrote him in. He was supposed to, I think, hit second for the Indianapolis Indians tonight. So Castro is not hitting second for the Indianapolis Indians in about an hour.
Any thoughts? I mean, Pirates had a lefty pitcher, can spot start, or could be a decent reliever. I've always liked Castro a little bit. I think he does have upside with the bat.
He cannot hit right-handed pitching this year.
That's not.
900 OPS against lefties. So, hey, hit him against lefties.
And the Phillies haven't been that good against lefties this season. So maybe they're just looking for a little bit of a platoon guy.
And they found it 900 OPS. Oh, Cease officially staying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Castro 900 OPS, whatever. Castro 900 OPS against lefties, I think like a 460 OPS against righties. So unusable against right-handed pitching. Very usable against left-handed pitching. That kind of pisses me off that Cease is not going anywhere.
Talk us through it. Talk us through why the White Sox decided Dylan Cease is not going to be traded.
I was on the phone with Aram. I was on the phone with Matt Spiegel, who's a consistent guest from 670 The Score. And, we were talking about possible packages. And the packages that we settled on was Kjerstad. The one that I think excited us most was Heston Kjerstad, Joey Ortiz, and Kyle Stowers. That would have been a trajectory-altering package for the Chicago White Sox. Baltimore would have gotten their ace moving forward, and the White Sox would have had three guys that can absolutely be in the White Sox lineup tomorrow. I think Kjerstad is ready for a big league debut. Ortiz is being blocked like crazy right now. And, I mean, Stowers, like, he has struggled a little bit, but he's been given, like, absolutely zero opportunity. So I think with the King's ransom that was going to come through for Dylan Cease, that kind of really pisses me off that he's still here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that the Orioles didn't pony up and give the prospects. I'm surprised that the Dodgers at the buzzer didn't send, all right, we'll give you Sheehan, or we'll give you someone big, right? They lost out on Erod. He said no. The Dodgers do need starting pitching. They're going to get Walker Buehler back. I'm surprised by that. I really am, and I'm not surprised by the Orioles. I'm just not surprised by the Orioles.
I think it was the White Sox asking price. I have a feeling that it was just so stupidly ridiculous that it just was a joke.
They were hoping someone panicked. They were probably hoping someone panicked, and Andrew Freeman probably goes, all right, like, we're not giving you Mookie Betts for him. We're not going to trade everybody under the sun. Orioles do nothing. We're hearing that from Joshua. Yeah, I mean, like, how are we supposed to be shocked?
No. No.
Drew Rom also to St. Louis with Frito.
Yeah. Decent arm.
Decent arm?
Decent arm. Yeah. He's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's fine.
Dominic Leone traded to the Angels.
Okay.
That's a player. That's a player to a team.
Yeah, that's about it. Not a very fun buzzer there.
The Yankees are so pathetic. The Yankees are so pathetic. They are.
But they trade.
Yes, you cowards. You stood pat.
They got Keenan Middleton.
Don't flash that dumbass graphic in front of me.
They got Keenan Middleton. Hey, thanks to Cohen for flashing the graphics.
We got to dump in a few too.
Yeah, we got to run. I actually got to run right now. I got a game to call in 56 minutes, and I know that you guys are hopping on another stream as well. But, yeah, kind of underwhelming buzzer. But This was fun. And I'm a sucker for a seller's market, and we got one this year.
We definitely did. So that'll do it for this episode of the Just Baseball Show. We will, of course, be back all day tomorrow, and then the next day, and then everything moving forward. We're going to do winners and losers of the trade deadline. If you guys want to get on the Bleacher Report app,
yep.
Arm and I will be on there talking more deadline stuff, so come talk there. Definitely support Just Baseball Show by getting yourself some Just Baseball merch. We are brought to you by BetMGM. We'll be back tomorrow. That's Arm, that's Jack, and I'm Peter. Guys, thank you on YouTube, everybody, for listening. And that was the trade deadline. And we'll see you on Bleacher Report in 5 seconds.